platform. And
Are you ready?
we're totally ready. Can't get much more ready. Okay, we are live. So we're really excited. We are here in Kansas City at Triple Crown. Really the preview for Triple Crown. And then tonight we have Aaron Flores here from Forza, and we also have Coach Sam here on the live tonight. So we are going to chit chat and talk about all things volleyball, Triple Crown, camps, you name it. So here we go. Chris, today you released your article on the preview and predictions. So I want to start first there and have you kind of talk a little bit about the weekend overall, teams, and then of course we want to know what your predictions are. And no pressure because Aaron's on.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. So, what you want me? You want me to tell you who I predicted to win in each division, or what are we doing here?
Yeah, start where do you want to start? You want to start at 14s or do you want to start at 18s?
Well, we can start at 14s.
Okay.
I went with a very very boring route in 14s. Unfortunately, no big hot takes, no big surprises, but I picked A5 to win it all in 14s. And I mean, look at they won this tournament last year. They won AAUs and they won USA Nationals. So it's like, what do you want me to do? You know, nobody's beat them. So I don't have a hot take. I'm not going to predict somebody. You know, it's kind of a testament to them. Until somebody beats them, like they're going to be the team to beat. So I mean, you know, that young age, it's like anything can happen. You have one bad match on day 2 and you're out. So
Okay. Nothing exciting in 14s then. You no big like
I'm kind of boring in that sense, you know. Like sometimes people say like, "Oh, I want to pick something for like the hot take and make people think," but you know, I'm like a little bit. Well, some people would say maybe a little egotistical, but I like to refer to it as competitive. So it's like I want my picks to be right, so I don't want to pick anything too crazy.
Aaron, are you disappointed this is not a SoCal team?
No, not disappointed. You know, I think it's the SoCal division is good in every age group. Coast has won every tournament in SoCal this year. So if anyone from SoCal were to really make an attempt at beating A5, I think they would have a really really good shot. You know, they've won every tournament in SoCal this year. So they would have to be the pick out of SoCal to do that if someone was going to. So.
Sweet. All right, jump in. 15s.
15s. Who did we go with in 15s? Oh.
You wrote the article and you don't remember who you chose for 15?
Oh, okay. So actually, we did ask Jen from Legacy to join us tonight, and she just texted. They weren't able to make it work, but she would definitely be happy to know in 15s we did pick Legacy beating OT in the final. So it's a little bit going out there.
Okay.
So we'll see. I mean, Mad Frog won it last year. You know, they're up there. TAB did well at the tour. You have Dynasty, High Performance out of St. Louis. So, you know, we'll see. It'll take a little bit of work for Legacy. We have them ranked 10th in the nation right now. So it's not like we're going with like the total favorite.
All right, Aaron, you got to give us the lowdown of what's going on in 15s in the SoCal region.
Yeah, 15s this year so far. It looks like, you know, T Street, Coast have been up there. Vegas Aces was a team that's kind of come into it this year a little bit, but you know, Coast and T Street have been the two teams that have looked like the top two teams so far. Both really good teams, both really deep. I know both added some really key pin players that both will elevate teams that were already good, right? But both both teams look really good. And I think it'll be cool to see how the SoCal teams do. I know with other areas in the country, with the Tour of Texas and then with the Central Zones and stuff like that, like some of these other teams have played big tournaments against a lot of other good teams, where the SoCal teams really have only played our regional play at this point. It's a little bit more difficult with us. This is kind of the first big travel trip for the top SoCal teams. So, I think it's easier to say, hey, well, these teams have already shown that they can win this year against these big fields or deep talented fields, where this will be the first shot for a lot of the SoCal teams in every age group. Maybe some of the 18s teams have traveled, but the younger ones for sure. It'll be cool to see how they all do, because really only played each other so far,
Yeah.
Did anyone organize any scrimmages before coming out this year? I know there's like different scrimmages and stuff that happen typically before nationals, but did anyone kind of organize anything before Triple Crown this week?
I'm not that I'm aware of. We do a lot of in-house stuff, right? With having the two clubs within 45 miles of each other. We've already done 2 kind of inner club events. So we were expecting to have a really big one this week on Tuesday, and then had some kids not feeling well, and kind of had to have a couple teams kind of not do it. But we did one in December, and then we do one right here before Triple Crown. We do some scrimmages where it's nice to have the ability to work within your own club and get some good competition. So I think that's something that, especially in the 16s age group, right? I mean, in your guys' rankings, I mean, we got 2 teams in the top 13. So when you have 2 teams that can just play each other and the coaches can work on lineups and matchups, specifically, I think that it's a nice advantage to have, and we don't have to venture too far to get that. So it is cool.
Yeah. I was going to ask you for the 15s. I was just looking at the rankings we put out. And T Street is actually the highest SoCal team we have, and they're at like number 16. And when I do the rankings, I don't necessarily try to like look by region and balance and say, oh, I need certain teams. So I'm like a little surprised that I'm like, wow, like that's the highest ranked SoCal team right now. I mean, who knows actually, right? But it's kind of unusual not to see at least 1 or 2 SoCal teams in like the top 15 or top 10.
Yeah, I think so. I think maybe that comes from just they haven't traveled, right? I mean, when you look at the 16s age group, which you'll talk about next. I mean, Wave went to Tour of Texas, right? And so they go out there and they win that, and they kind of show, okay, well, this is where they are within SoCal, and then you come back to SoCal and then people have beat them. So it's really easy to say, okay, well, now there's a collective of teams in SoCal that are at this level. Just because they have that competition outside of our region for someone, right? And you just haven't really had that in the younger ages. But I think hopefully by the end of this weekend, it might look a little different for the SoCal teams. So especially in the 14s and 15s, yeah.
Right. Well, when it comes to the 16s, you mentioned Wave. They did come out to the tour and they did really well. And we actually have them at number 1 right now going into Triple Crown. Nothing like a target on your back. And I don't know, I guess I picked Wave to beat TAV. Sometimes I do these predictions and like 2 days later I look at it and I go, oh, I guess I made that pick, like they don't stick with me necessarily, but that's who I went with. And like we were just talking about, I mean, we have in the 16s, Wave number 1 and Forza North number 6, Mizuno Long Beach number 7, T Street number 10, Aaron's Club Forza number 13, City number 15. So we have a lot of SoCal representation with 16s, and for good reason. I mean, they fared really well in 15 Open last year in Vegas, and we have Vision from Northern California at number 5, who's come down and played in the SCVA mandatory stuff, and I thought that was really cool. But
it is cool, yeah.
I was really surprised to see City. Maybe I don't think they got placed in a power pool. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that, Aaron? I was a little surprised. I know they haven't beaten some of the SoCal teams this year, but that's a good team.
Yeah, I know I believe they have they've had a key injury earlier in the season to one of their key players that maybe had some play into maybe a little bit of a slow start, but they're a great team. I mean, they can play with anyone. They medaled last year, right? And at nationals, so in 15 open. So they're as good as anyone. I know when the first power pools came out, our 16s weren't in there. You know, they were one of the last 4 added, and just shows how deep the age group is. You know, there's in SoCal. I've been in SoCal, you know, over 20 years, and this is one of the deeper age groups I've seen in a very, very, very long time. I mean, it is a unique age group for SoCal, and it kind of reminds me back how it was a long time ago before, you know, kind of everything kind of thinned out with how many clubs there are, and you know, there used to be like every year it's like, wow, there's 3 or 4 SoCal teams that are competing for national championships every year, you know. And that kind of gives me that feel when you go to the SoCal 16s tournaments, and then you add Vision in there, who's really good. I mean, and it's a great move by them. You know, like I said, I don't know their exact reasons other than just get really good competition, but they're a great team, and it's been really fun having them compete in SoCal this year. So it just makes the region stronger, and I think that's why that age group does well nationally, is because they do get to do that every weekend out here. Because it is harder for the SoCal teams to get those major tournaments. We got to fly to every single one of them, right? You know, we can't drive 5 hours or 6 hours here and get more tournaments with high level teams, like maybe the center of the country can do. But so 16s, I think, is a huge advantage for all the age groups in our region, just because there's so many good teams to play every weekend. But
yeah, you coach the Forza 16s team as 14s and 15s, and
13s, 14s, and 15s. Yeah, 3
okay,
years.
even better.
Yeah.
And then you turned them over this year. For
Yeah.
people listening and stuff, I mean, who are the girls to know on that team? What's some insights? I mean, what can we watch for out of them this weekend?
Yeah, I think with both of the Forza teams in the 16s, we've got it's really cool. I mean, we've got some of the top recruits in the country, you know, within those 2 teams. When you look at the Forza South team, you know, Kirsten Moore is a 2027 setter. Might be a little biased, but I think she's the best in the country. But she's amongst one of the best setters in the country for sure. And anytime you get one of those top setters, you know, your team's always going to be in the mix. And she provides that for us. And she's a great kid. She's a great leader. We have Janaya Barrage, who's 2028, one of the top 2028 players in the country on that team as well. And then there's a lot of other good players, you know, that really have an impact and have made a name for themselves. And, you know, as they get older and the recruiting starts to become a little bit more prevalent for this age, you're gonna kind of hear about them. Evie Poole is a terrific middle, who is both can block and be offensive in front of the setter, behind the setter, which is hard to find at this age. And then, you know, kind of the unsung, the kind of glue of the team is Ella Johnson, who's an outside hitter for us, who, you know, probably never is the kill leader, but, you know, just her serve, receive, defense, serving, just kind of one of those five tool, 6 rotation outsides that kind of keeps everything together for the team. She's awesome. So it's a great team, you know, a lot of good players, good culture. The nice thing about that team is they come from a small community, where they all know each other and they've all grown up together, and the parents are very close, and it's an amazing parent group. I can promise you, whether they win Triple Crown or not, if you walk by that court, that'll be one of the more exciting parent groups you'll walk by. I promise you that, with both our Forza teams. So, and then the North team is terrific as well. They've been an open team the last couple of years. Yeah. Really good team, really good setter in Marley, and they've had some physicality there, but they added Wesley, who's one of the best 2027 players. Yeah. And Maya, the libero, who they both played up last year. They played up last year, and that team won 5th in 16 open last year at nationals, and they stayed into the age group this year and joined up with a team that was already an open team. So I think that's probably why they reflected so high in your rankings.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we expect big things from both of you, and by that I mean, you know, having another good year making open, not like crazy like we expect you to go on and win it all, but you know, both those teams have always been really, really competitive.
Okay, wait, but you mentioned the parents, so I have a question.
Absolutely.
when it comes to the parents, are they the loud, like they're excited, they're cheering for their team, and then how many of them yell at the refs, point, point? Are they
Yeah,
that excited? Like, you got to break down, what is this parent?
yeah, they're really, really positive. You might hear some point. If you hear some point being yelled, it's probably because I'm coaching my other teams and I'm not around. But if I'm around, you won't hear the point. I promise you that. But I'm sure it'll be there, and it's all out of fun, and they're all just very competitive, like all the parents are. And I always say this tournament is as a coach, I'm coaching 2 teams here on top of it. I coach the 14s and the 18s, so I actually will be pretty busy. We bring extra like staff out just to help out with the college coaches and stuff like that. But I always say this tournament is the most fun tournament to coach all season. But as a club director, it is probably the top of the list when it comes to like high stress, right? Because everyone's excited and all the colleges are there for the first time, and you're trying to balance, being competitive at the toughest tournament in the country, but also, creating a path of exposure for all of your kids, right? I mean, because everyone's making that investment and everyone's committed to their team, and they all want to come out here and show what they can do. And it is challenging. I don't think there's a club director in the country that would say that it's not challenging, right, to balance all of that. But it really is a fun tournament, and I really enjoy it. I'm excited to coach and then also to watch our other teams as well.
We were talking about this the other day, and this is too touchy. You can bypass this, but it's like when Triple Crown first.
No, there's no out here.
With Triple Crown, it's kind of like the Las Vegas Classic when with coaches would just kind of play everybody. It was like a recruiting thing. Then the Texas schools started to come, and it's like, now we got to win it. We're not playing Triple Crown kind of started off like this. Like the college coaches were going to be there. Coaches would play everybody. And now it's like such a prestigious bragging right type thing. And it's like, now it's all about winning. And it's like, it seems like it's gone away from that. And it's got to be such a tough thing to balance as a club director, as a coach, everything.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's funny because when the Triple Crown started, one of the things that with the allure to it, obviously, was it wasn't as big then. We've been here since year 2, brought our team since year 2. But back in the Las Vegas Classic, the formatting, and the SCVA ran the Las Vegas Classic, and it's been a great tournament for a long time. And we've sent so many teams there over the years. We've been there for years, but the way it used to be the Las Vegas Classic was they would reseed after the first day. So you have this recruiting showcase, but there was a huge amount of value placed on winning every set and winning by a large margin if you were a good team. Well, that kind of contradicts the recruiting piece, right? Mm-hmm. So because now everyone's just trying to not only win, but like, we're going to try to win by a lot. And that kind of defeated the purpose a little bit. Now that the formats have changed and evolved, and then Triple Crown comes in and says, okay, well, now after day 1, everyone's in. Right? Everyone's in. And that's how it started. Well, then it got so big. Now only that's the case for the power pools. So as a club that we don't get all of our teams in the power pools, we'll get some, and then some are not in the power pool. This year, I noticed we have a couple teams not in the power pool. And this year, I know the first and second place teams get a chance to play out in the 2 divisions that I'm aware of in the non-power pools, which is nice. Where in years past at Triple Crown, only first place was guaranteed. So it kind of went back to that thing of like, if you want to get out of your day 1 pool, you've got to get first. And that makes it tough sometimes. I think that's why there's so much stake in getting in a power pool if you're a borderline team, because you now can play different lineups, and I've seen teams in the past in Triple Crown go 0-3 the first day and win the tournament, or be in the finals or something, because that tournament allows you to do that. And I think it's competitively responsible. I think it's a good thing. And not everyone can be in a power pool, not everyone should be. There has to be some prestige to doing that and earning that spot. But I think everyone's trying to make it check all the boxes, for us, like you're always trying to win. Right. And as a coach, if you're playing a player that's traditionally a non-starter at that point in the season, that doesn't mean you're not trying to win, right? You're still trying to win. And so I think the girls, they all have to understand that. And the parents are really great with it. For me, our parents are great. You know, we're very, very honest and upfront with our families, and hey, we're trying to win. And also, like, we want every player to be represented well, right? I know you guys might know me more than everyone watched, but I'm pretty black and white when it comes to, you know, hey, this is kind of how it's going to be. And I always tell my players, like, we also have a responsibility to not put you in a position where you're not going to be successful. Right. So we have to strategically know our players and know where they can have success and put them in situations where they're going to be able to showcase their skills in each match. And it's a giant puzzle piece, you know, puzzle to kind of put together. And that's where, like, it is a little stressful at times when you're trying to, you know, make sure everyone has a great experience in your club, but still try to win. Right. We're all trying to win, you know. This is sports.
The reality is, if you're not winning, you're not attracting business to the club either. And there's that part of it. Like, you have to win. I mean, that's just the bottom line. Or people don't want to come play for you.
Yeah, I think there's different levels to it, right? I mean, like I said before we went on, my 8-year-old daughter's playing for Forza One this year, right? And she plays on our 10 and under team. Well, that plays in a local league, non-travel, and there, like, we attract people are going to want to come play for that because it's a great experience and they're learning good fundamentals. They're really having fun. They're enjoying the game. So yeah, I guess it depends on which team. Yeah, the teams that are at Triple Crown, yeah, that's exactly what you're talking about. But there's different levels within our club. I mean, we're a pretty big club. We have almost 100 teams, so we have lots of different levels within our club that can provide an experience, you know, based on what you're looking for at whatever stage of volleyball you're in, you know.
Yeah. All right, Chris, we got to move on to 17.
Okay, well, 17s I just noticed too. I also picked picked Wave. It's
Were
like
you
Brett had me on
here,
the
like, while you were doing this? What was happening?
isn't even
here?
on the live today, and I'm picking his butts to win here and there and everything. But I don't know. They came out to the tour, and like Aaron's saying, you know, SoCal teams don't necessarily get out, but you know, they're pretty competitive. And I don't know, maybe I was feeling shake it up a little bit here, but
you were wanting to shake it up a little.
I'm traditionally like right 11% of the time. So, you know, if I go 0-4, 0-5 this weekend, then, you know, it is what it is. But
no, last year you were like 2. What did you get? 2 and 2 out.
Well, I went 2 out of 5, so 40%.
You were boasting. You walked out of the gym puffing your chest. You were like, did you see? Did you look at my rankings? Did you see how this stacked up? And at that point, I don't know that I had read in art. Like, this is going to sound really bad, but when Chris originally came on, I hired Chris originally because, Aaron, as we talked about earlier, a long time ago, we all knew each other. And I just knew Chris was cool. I didn't know that I was going to marry him, but at the time, it was like, he was a cool guy and he was really good. And he was always on top of his game, right? And he knew everybody. So it's essentially why I brought him on. And then he comes on and he starts writing. And when I hired him, I'm like, look, you're in charge of media. Like, you're doing the whole website. I'm not going to bother you. Like, just do your thing. Whatever you do, you just do it. I don't know that I read in art. Like, this is going to sound terrible. I don't know that I read a single person.
Don't read a single article, but that's okay. That's okay.
Sam, did you read Chris's?
I read them all. I read them all, Chris.
I would glance through them. Absolutely. Yes.
The business owner am I that I didn't like. I don't think I read your article. Everyone would just tell me, like, that was a good move. You brought Tobolsky on. This was great. I didn't even know how to pronounce your name at the time. Remember, I used to.
You would spell it wrong. I would have to call the airline and be like, "Yeah, my boss spelled my name wrong. Like, I need to get my reward points going." But that is. But speaking of the 17s and SoCal, because we have Aaron on, like, seeing Coast winning Northern Lights, you like that transition? Winning that qualifier, like how cool was that for the region? And then what can you tell us about Coast and just you know, in a broader sense too, because that's not like a team that's like traditionally just overwhelmed opponents. So I mean, what makes that team good, and what would your guess is like? Why were they able to have success out there?
You know, honestly, I don't. If I were to say the age group that I am the least knowledgeable about, it would be the 17s age group in our region, and I think it's just simply because that's the one age group as they've gone through their whole career. I've never coached that age group, right? I try to know as much as I can about all of them within the region, but I haven't coached that age group. I've coached every other age group, you know, from the 14s up at some point in that age group, right? Oh, and some of them multiple times. But it was cool to see Coast go out there early. I always thought that Northern Lights qualifier, every year when you're looking at what qualifiers you want to go to, obviously there's logistics and stuff like that. But I feel like you have to know your team and you have to have the right team to go do something like that. So they obviously felt like they had the right team to go out there early. And they did really well. And it's really cool. I mean, they're a balanced team. I think as any open team is that they've got depth, they've got balance, they're good. And I think it's cool and it's great for the region. Anytime, you know, we're always rooting for our other teams to get those bids, you know, and, you know, I track it. I have little, you know, I have Excel spreadsheets for every single thing you can imagine. Yeah. So Chris, you know, like at the end of every year, I'm always texting, who do you think's going to get the at-larges? And let me check my spreadsheet. And,
blah, blah, blah.
Dude, I've got their records, and you know, maybe after you, I might know them, you know, track it more than anyone. But I think it's great for us to have that team. When we go to Red Rock Rave, hey, there's a SoCal team that already has a bid, you know. So for us, we're rooting for each other. So when a team goes out in January and qualifies for our region, it's really huge. It helps everyone, you know, because we want to get as many teams as we can represented at nationals from our region. So it was super cool that they went out there and got that early. But I like I said, I don't know exactly who played well or how that went for them out there. I haven't talked to Ojan since that tournament, but it really is cool that they were able to go out there and not only qualify, they won it, right? They won the qualifier, which is, I don't care what qualifier it is. That's hard to do. Right. No, that is really hard to do, to win a qualifier. So that goes a long way to help them the whole year with seeding and nationals and all that stuff.
Okay. Anything else from you, Chris?
No, I know you wanted to talk about some recruiting and camps, and I know Aaron's got a camp. We were talking about him before we went live, and they started up a camp last year, and
yeah,
this is her second year. I know you guys wanted to get into that, so I'll kind of step back a tiny bit here.
So we're a big fan of the elite clubs that host these college coaching camps, and we do, you know, we promote them. Sam and I both. Sam runs the recruiting side of the business and works with a lot of our recruits, or really works with all of our kids, but. You know, as we talk to so many people and we work to educate families on the process, we talk about all the different opportunities that are out there, and really these college coaching camps are the best bang for your buck. But you can't just go to any camp. There's a lot of third parties that host them that are absolutely god awful. They're poorly run. The coaches sometimes that are there don't, you know, you don't always attract even the best talent in the gym, which is also a challenge to run a camp like that. So, you know, we're all about promoting these elite, you know, collegiate coaching camps. We know that you partner with A4. So tell us a little bit about it. You announced your date, and so we'd love to put it out and promote it.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we put out a save the date this last week, so it'll be June 7th and 8th. And like I said, it's hard to find that date, you know. The recruiting windows have changed, which has been good. It's opened up more dates, which is nice, whether it's starting earlier for tournaments that are recruitable or just doing camps like these. So yeah, it's going to be we do a 2-day camp, and the players have the option of doing both days or one of the 2 days, right? One day is at A4, one day is at our Forza North facility. And we do it at our North facility because it's really centrally located in Southern California. You know, literally you can walk to Ontario Airport from there. So it's super easy for coaches and hotels, where Forza South, we're in Temecula area, which is kind of in its own little pocket, but so they just go up to the Forza North day, or they go to both days if they would like. We started it last year, and I think it's kind of funny. What you notice in Southern California is a lot of clubs partnering with each other to do these things, and it's really interesting. It's like, well, we could just do one with our own. We have 2 clubs, but we want to make sure that we're getting even more players. So if a college coach is coming out, we want them to get their bang for not only the families, but the college coach to get the bang for the buck as well. Sure. Access to a lot of different players. So when you're putting it together, you're kind of honestly like, who do you not really compete with? Who do you have a good relationship with, right? And so for us being in an Inland Empire and A4 being in Orange County, and it doesn't really make sense probably for them to work with another Orange County club, and for us, we can work well with them, and we've have a great relationship with them so far, and doing it last year and this year, they've been amazing. So it's really kind of been a great thing. We have coaches from all over that came. Last year we had around 30 coaches that came, and this year, I mean, a week after that one ended, we had coaches reaching out like, we didn't even know you guys were having it. And so that this year, it's really important that we, especially this weekend, and we're talking about it, that not only for the players to be aware that it's there, because it's open to players from any club, but also for the college coaches to know that it also is another one that is there. And like when we were talking about earlier, we've got a lot of good players in our own club, a lot of highly recruited players, especially in the 2027, 2028 class, that coaches want to come out and see. And I think when I coached, college volleyball, and I was a recruiting coordinator at UC Irvine, and one thing that I loved was being able to see a lot of great kids in one building, right? That's why this tournament's so amazing for that. But even at the college coach camps, now you can work hands-on, right? You can get out there, and our camp is run 100% by the college coaches. So our staff, A4 staff, does not coach any of the camp. Everything is broken up into sessions, and if college coaches are interested in coaching a session, it was really cool how many of them they really want to be one of the coaches, because then they get to show their personality and how they coach and really get a personal connection there with all these kids. So I think that's a huge thing. And we want to give as many of those coaches as possible the opportunity to do that. And not just the Division I coaches, right? We had coaches from all levels of college volleyball. We have college coaches within our coaching staff at the Division II, Division III level, that are there running them as well. So it's not just, hey, this big school gets to do all the coaching. No, we had Division III coaches that were running sessions, Division II coaches that are running sessions, and we want to make sure it's good for every level of recruit and every level of school to want to come attend. So we're really excited about year 2. I think it's gonna grow a lot, and I know there's other college coach camps in Southern California around the same time, but I think it only is going to make it stronger. I mean, it just helps the coaches to have to come out for one trip, and they can divide and conquer. That part of it's for them, available for them, and is awesome. And that time of year is a great time to do it, right? In between all the qualifiers are done, getting ready for nationals. It's a great window for the kids to really focus on that. So we're super excited about it. We'll have our registration, available after Triple Crown, and everyone will be able to sign up for that. And I think it's going to be awesome this year. It's going to be really big. It's going to be fun. Like I said, it's run out of 2 sites, Orange County and in the Inland Empire, and open to everyone from any club. We ask the college coaches as well, like, who do you want to see, right? Who do you want to see here? We want to make sure that we're providing the athletes that they want to also recruit, because some schools, they might be making a big investment or a big trip out for 2 players, right? A Division I coach, I won't say their name, but they used to come to these tournaments and qualifiers and they'll say, yeah, there's really only 5 girls here that can play at our school, and it's like 168 courts going. We want to make sure for that school that there's players there that they want to see, right? And so otherwise, they're not gonna want to come. So we ask for their feedback. Who do you want to see, right? Not just from our club, from other clubs in the area. And I'll reach out. I'll call that club director and be like, hey, I've got this coach coming, and they want to see this player. Send them over to our camp. It'd be a great opportunity for them. And that's what recruiting should be about, right? I mean, it's for the kids. Like we're all trying to help them. And so, I think I went back and forth on these things. I think one of the reasons why we did it was honestly because we had to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if we didn't do one, then our players are going to go to one somewhere else, right? And so we want to provide that for our customer and for the athletes. And so, but
the other thing is, don't you kind of feel, I mean, with how recruiting has changed, with virtually no communication till June 15th, and then these college coaches starting to offer, like how many of your kids on June 15th had offers and then pressure, by the way, to make a decision? So now it's like you're really doing a disservice to your athletes if you're not getting them in the gym. Like there's so many parents, we deal with this all the time. There's so many parents, there's so many players that think, oh, recruiting doesn't start until later, till June, I can't talk to them till June 15th. So there's really not, no, that's not the case. And you need to get it together and start figuring out, some of the things that you want. So I think it's a huge disservice when you don't offer the camp, like you're saying, because your kids have to have an opportunity to start talking to these coaches and these programs and really understanding what's out there. I am curious, was anybody in your club last year put in a position where they were offered and deadlined sight unseen the school?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's very common. I think that's always happened. It doesn't happen a lot, but that does happen, right? I mean, we could sit here all night and talk about recruiting stories that I have with different situations and different coaches, and down to, hey, you're sitting in my office on a visit, and if you walk out the door, the offer's gone, type of things. And those that's old school stuff, right? Like, but it happens, and it's tough.
Like it's mob style now.
It is. It is different, and it's
like crazy.
It is, and it's challenging. I think all the way the landscape has changed, it is becoming more and more challenging for our kids at our level to get, obviously that your top percent, the top kids, the kids that we're talking about on this thing, it's a little different, but there's a large, the vast majority of the kids, their process is different, right? And they're the ones that need more. We need to do more for them and provide these camps. And I think even like the more specialized college camps, I think are really, really good. I think Carrie runs the high academic camp, right, at Sunshine. That's terrific. Like, because if you're a high academic school, right, I know at our club, Kurt, he's one of our coaches. He'll be out. He's the head coach of Claremont Mudd Scripps, right? One of the highest academic schools in the country. Well, he can go out and watch it and recruit at Triple Crown, which you will, but he can watch 100 girls, and maybe one of those girls has the academics to actually play at his school, right? And it's hard to even know that. So the camp that like Carrie runs at Sunshine is really great, because now you're putting all of those players in one place. So if you're going, he's going to recruit at that. He knows every girl here is high academic. So I know I'm not just trying to find a needle in a haystack with these super, super high academic kids. So those are really cool. We did one, I think the second year we started for is 2015. We did a Christian college coaching camp, and it was just really focused on that. We've done high academic. So those things I think are super valuable. I don't think they're as common because you won't make as much money because there's not as many kids that will come to them, but it's about the kids, right? Like it's about how can we find those situations for those kids. So I think also providing a lot of information at these college coaches camps, putting together each player's little profile and saying, hey, this is where they're at. So the coaches know what they're looking at when they come to these things, right? I mean, that's important. So it's hard. It's a beast. So so many kids want to play at the next level, and they're capable. It's just going through the process and understanding the process and doing the things necessary that they have to on the timeline that's required for them, right?
Do you feel, I know Sam can speak a lot to this, but there's between NIL, between the transfer portal, these kids that are having more time now with the JUCO programs, essentially now giving you kind of waiving and allowing you to go and play. Just curious, are as a director, are you feeling more stressed? And then in addition to that, do you feel like your families are feeling more stressed about recruiting? Because I feel like we're experiencing. Sam, wouldn't you say that it's the landscape is completely changed? It's become more competitive. What would you say, Sam?
Well, certainly. I mean, I think the transfer portal, I mean, I have a lot of words for the transfer portal, as do a lot of people at the end of the day. But we have seen that grown with even our own kids, and then just trying to help them navigate, because there's so much misinformation about the transfer portal. And I think that's an education piece. We talk about this all the time. And then, Aaron, you sure, Division II deregulated their recruiting rules starting this year. And we've talked about how many of the coaches around the country at the D2 level don't know that. Like, some of them are still operating as they had, same thing, right? When June 15th, et cetera. But then others, especially in SoCal, the ones that have made the move to Division II, they're starting to talk like, hey, I want to talk to you. You're 27. Let's get on the phone right now and start that process. So I think there's an education piece that has to happen. And then because of all this, I think parents, kids, and everybody gets so like high strung. And it's like, but at the end of the day, it comes down to, as you mentioned about wanting to help, it's about the kid and helping them. And it's helping them figure out what is their right fit at the end of the day. Yeah. There's over 2,000 programs in this country that offer volleyball. There is a fit for you, but it's helping navigate what is going to be that right fit for somebody, which is why, you have your camp, and you said you have Division I, Division II, D3, NAIA, et cetera, all that participating, which is awesome. Kids can come into all that and get a feel and have a chance, like you said, to start making that relationships with those coaches and vice versa. And that's such a big deal, I feel, for sure.
Yeah, so I think getting them, go ahead. Sorry,
stress. No, that's okay. So I wanted to ask you, because I'm really curious. We feel like there's been a lot more stress among 25s and 26s this year, in particular, juniors and seniors, just a lot more stress. So I'm curious if you're seeing the same thing and experiencing the same thing on your end.
Yeah, coaching 18s as well this year, and I've got several unsigned kids, right? Good players, really good players, and I think there's a lot of stress, and the transfer portal has created a lot of that, especially for your unsigned seniors, right? I mean, that's difficult. So I think that it's good that they're doing things to combat that with the junior college. Now, you're still getting your full eligibility after playing junior college, full 40, which is huge, right? We have junior colleges in our area, and I talked to them this last week. It's like, this is huge for you guys, and it's huge for the girls, because it's a new pathway, right? Where before it was tough, right? For the junior college route, I think it would work for certain kids, but to lose that eligibility or to not, feel like you're getting developed. And there's a lot of really good coaches. I know in Southern California junior colleges, there's some good coaching, right? Like, there's coaches that could coach high-level Division I programs that coached junior college over the years, back when, when Tom Lacey was coaching, and Nabil, and these guys are great coaches, and they know how to develop these girls for the next level, right? And but I think it has created a lot of stress, right? I spoke to a coach, a Division I assistant coach, recruiting coordinator, been in the game a long time, and he said, Aaron, I don't know if I ever have to come to a club tournament again.
I've heard that.
I don't know if I ever need to, because if I go recruit club kids, I can't be a top 50 program. But if I never come to another club tournament again, and I only recruit through the transfer portal, I can have a top 50 program every year. Mm-hmm. And, so I heard that, and I'm like, that's wild, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's wild. And he, so it's like that to me is scary too, because it's like, I'm a club coach. To know that there's schools that are in that frame of mind, like, hey, and I get it. They're trying to win. They have to win, and they have to keep their jobs. And it's one of those things where if they feel like they can do their job better going this route, then why wouldn't they? Right. So I think the more things that we can do to combat that, like what the junior colleges have done, or what Division IIs maybe, the better. because I think it does create a lot of stress for the families when you're getting to this stage. And I think we're all learning as we go. Like I don't know how Triple Crown's going to be this year for my unsigned seniors or for certain, because the landscape wasn't the same as Triple Crown recruit, 3 years ago. Now it might be a little different. So it'll be interesting to hear that and see where everyone's thought process is. But definitely it's created a lot of stress, and we try to just, do the best we can and to alleviate that. And I think it comes down to what you were saying earlier, Carrie, is like it starts earlier in preparing them earlier, right? And so that they understand. And like Sam said, that there's 2,000 programs out there that they can play at. And the earlier they understand that, the more they're going to be aware of how to get there.
Yeah. We, I just have felt like in the past, I would say 6 months to a year, it's just the landscape's changing so fast. I feel like our advice, the way we help kids navigate the process, how they're talking to coaches, how they're interacting, how they're marketing themselves. We developed our own AI platform where it helps the players actually write emails so that they can, get more personal, create more relationships through that email marketing side of things. And I feel like they really need to start understanding marketing from a younger age. The challenge is that it goes on for so long. And so you probably see this, they start to lose confidence. They start to get flustered. The process goes on too long, and then they're tired. Their parents are tired. And at some point, if they can't play, I think the other challenge is having these lofty aspirations that I'm going to go play at Nebraska, Texas, Stanford, Penn State, and, they're not at that level. And so coming to terms with that reality, putting all that work in, and then facing that is always a challenge. So I just was curious kind of how things were on your end from that perspective, and how you all were trying to manage it and get through it.
Yeah, I think like you said, the education is the important thing, just getting them to understand early, and the kids they get excited. I got a girl, a 10-year-old on my 11s team that just made I'm just like a social media recruiting thing. I'm like, whoa. Like, I don't think you meet the age restriction yet, one, but two, like you don't need this yet. Like, but they feel that, right? Oh my gosh, like I have to do this. And it's like, no, just calm down. Just focus on having fun and getting better at volleyball right now. So,
yeah, let's learn our rotations. We were just talking about that, right? With Kiki's team on an 11's team, and it's like you watched them play last week, and they were out of rotation for like 12 points in a row or 15 points in a row, and nobody noticed. And it's like, okay, we're going to talk about recruiting on an 11's team, and you're out of rotation for half the set.
No one noticed. Your wife noticed. I looked like I was crazy rocking back and forth, and I said nothing other than, you're out of rotation. You're out of rotation. You're out of rotation. Why is no one calling that it's out of rotation? I almost sound like one of those maniac parents that Sam goes ballistic over. And probably you, Aaron. Like, yeah, Chris is ready to go around and start giving coaching tips on the parental body language and what's appropriate on the side.
Aaron has some good stories, but I don't think they can make it to air.
No, those are for another time.
No, well, it'd be way more entertaining. I think you should.
It would.
Well, I think. Well, what's funny is, like I said, I'm a sports parent now myself. I got a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old, and I sit there at these tournaments, and hopefully some of these parents might be watching and be like, oh my gosh, they're talking about me, but oh my gosh, it's just it's fun. It's funny to watch, and everyone has great intentions. I always have to remind myself when I come to, everyone has great intentions, right? Like everyone wants the best for their kid. Everyone wants the best for the team for the most part. So, it's hard. It's challenging.
Aaron, I feel like
and the recruiting piece.
Kind answer coming from you. Very kind.
Yeah. It's
there's always
yeah, a lot. But and you might find me on Saturday and you walk by me and it doesn't look that way, so I don't know. But like you never know what's gonna come over the weekend. But we're lucky to have you know, like I said a lot, I said, yeah, like I said, I challenge anyone to come by our 16s teams courts, and you're going to find some really positive and supportive people. Right. And that team is unique because, like I said, when you have coaches, there's a lot of coaches' kids on that team. So that always helps, right?
Yeah.
That's always, I coached that team for 3 years. And like, well, you have an unfair advantage. You have coaches' kids on your team, right? Like, that's easier. Well, yeah, it is, right? But because the coaches, that they understand a little bit more, but doesn't mean anyone's else's intentions aren't good as well, right? You know, so.
With you coaching two age groups this weekend, what's the over under on yellow cards for you this weekend?
Uh-huh.
I promise you, I promise you, I tell my teams this, right? Like, I will get delay of game yellow cards. I always do. Like, if I can have some extra time to coach and it doesn't do anything against my team, then it's worth it for me to get a delay of game at least once a match, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I might need that extra time, you know, and so that's it though. It'll only be delay of games. That's it.
Did you hear about how the wave match at the Tour Texas in Houston ended in the semifinals on a red card because of a delay over substitution errors, and it was not pretty.
No, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, and then Juliana has to down ref with the same ref who gave her a red card it was 14-13 in the third set.
Somehow I think this has to be tied into you predicting Wave to win everything. I think it's like Chris's big master plan. Knowing Chris, there's some reason why he's not telling you. And I'm sure Brennan's not thrilled with it. I'm sure he doesn't really care for the target on his back, but
No,
she's a good coach. She's a good coach.
Yeah, no,
I
amazing.
don't bet her against her. And I don't care. Like, the ref was wrong. I don't know the 100% story, but I'm just gonna say the ref was wrong. You know. So.
Well, there was a whole miscommunication about her asking for a sub. She even asked how many subs she had. They allowed her to sub, and she was out of subs. It was a whole thing, but
it was a mess.
Really, it sucked. Like, and then to be in Texas and to be at this event and for it to end like that, and all the parents, everybody was like, "Are you kidding? Like, this is how it's gonna end?" Like, it was awful. I was ready. I almost teared up. I mean, I didn't, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I just like, one thing I love about this tournament is that the coaches don't ever have to down ref, right? I mean, because that's with all this, with how important and how competitive it is. Like, you know, they're not supposed to. Now, maybe sometimes they end up having to for whatever. But usually, we're not down refing, if I remember right. So that's nice. Like, no coach should be put in that situation with something high stakes. But
this is long for. Aren't you coaching in the morning and in the afternoon all 3 days? This is our staff's difficult tournament weekend. Like, even being on the road for a month at nationals, this is the hardest weekend for us.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, because like this is a hard weekend as a club director if you aren't coaching. And then I'm not that smart, and I coach 2 teams here. It just doesn't make any sense. But like I said, we got a lot of great staff, and our owners are amazing. Like, they're out here, you know. We have our owners come out for the weekend, and they hang out, and they're there from the start to the finish, and you know, we bring out a lot of staff for this tournament because it's important, you know, and we want to make sure that we do the best job we can, and if I'm always on the court or whatever, and then it sometimes becomes a little bit more challenging. Like I said, it's the most fun tournament to coach in. It's the most stressful tournament to be a director in, but it's well worth it, and we love coming. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, last question, and it's about the pro leagues. 4 pro leagues. What's your 2 cents?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I like to remind myself it's amazing that we have this in our country, right? You know, like I always give my young teams homework assignments, right? Like early in the year. I think it's important that they understand their sport, and they know history within their sport, right? So I always give them things to study, or I give them a player that they need to learn about. And I could ask every girl on my 12s team who the best NBA basketball players are, or who the best they could answer those questions, but most of them can't name 3 volleyball players, right? Like,
Right.
and that's a problem. So what I think, the more the better. The more people playing volleyball at a high level in our country, the better. And I think that's huge. I'm curious to see how it goes with that many all of a sudden, right? But I think right now I just look at it as a positive. Like, man, we got pro volleyball in our country. That means the 4 leagues means there's more teams for kids across the country to go watch with their families and see volleyball. I'm excited that the Love Volleyball stuff is happening here this weekend, so people can go see that.
Yeah.
I think it's great, right? More volleyball in our country at a high level is never a bad thing. And I think over time it'll kind of shift. I don't know how long there'll be 4 leagues, but there's not 4 leagues in established sports that have been around for over 100 years in the United States, right? So, but I think the more volleyball, the better. And I think the more that kids have access to the sport and watching it and becoming a fan, and I think it's cool, right? Like you can buy a pro volleyball jersey now, right? Like that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, so that kind of stuff is awesome.
Yeah. I think that somebody will have more money. It's going to come down to money, and somebody's going to have more, and then that's who's going to win out, and then we'll have one. But it's very cool. Awesome. Well, it's so great to have you. We really appreciate you coming on and talking about your region and your teams and your camp, and tag us when you post information on the camp. We'd love to promote it and share it. And excited to see you this weekend and want to wish you the best of luck.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, thanks for having us. That was awesome. And we'll see you this weekend. Have fun. Stay warm.
Yeah, thank you so much, Aaron. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for all your help all these years too, you know.
Oh, of course, man. It's been fun. Have a good one. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.